Hi, I'm Ken Knabe. Welcome to the Lakewood Public Library Virtual Author Series. My name is Ken Knabe. I'm an attorney here in Lakewood, and I'm also an avid cyclist. I'm known as Greater Cleveland's bike attorney. Why is that? Because the focus of my legal practice is protecting cyclists. How do I do that? How do I support the bike community? I'm on Cleveland's Vision Zero legislation, which is designed to reduce to zero the number of serious injuries and deaths on our road. I also do education at various bike clubs, even do legal seminars for lawyers on how to handle bike cases. I do sponsorships. For instance, I'm a Bike Cleveland corporate sponsor, and I serve on the boards of the Ohio to Erie Trail and the Ohio Bike Federation. I also do publications, and that's why we're here, because I wrote a book. And the name of my book is Cycling Rights. Why did I write this book? When I ride my bike, which is often, I watch what's happening on the road, both in a legal and a practical sense. And basically, I'm analyzing the playing field of drivers and cyclists. What are the cyclists doing right? What are the cyclists doing wrong? What are motorists doing right or wrong? How can we cycle better and safer? What should drivers do and not do around cyclists? And what should they know about cyclists? Being battle tested, being out on the road, I thought this is the perfect opportunity and time to write the book, because the pandemic occurred and still is occurring in 2020, and the governor declared bike shops as essential businesses. And that created a bike boom. And families dusted off their bikes, bought new ones, and we've had an influx of new riders. So basically, with my bike experience, education, and the bike boom, I decided it was time to write a book that would fill in the gap of knowledge that exists about cyclists and cyclist rights on the road. Because driver's ed for motorists doesn't pay much attention to cyclist rights on the road. There is no official state-mandated cycling education. So there's a big gap in knowledge that exists between cyclists and motorists. What are the cyclists' rights and duties on the road? And you know what this does? It causes confusion, it causes confrontations, and the book tries to soften and fill the gap of knowledge between what drivers know and what cyclists know, so that we can have predictability and understanding for both the cyclists and the motorists out on the road. So the legal and practical advice that this book contains is quite a bit. It starts out with cycling rights. In other words, what rights do cyclists have on the road? I'm going to give away one big safety tip right here that's in the book, and that a bike is defined under the Ohio Revised Code as a vehicle. Why is that important? Because it means bikes are not a toy. They're actually a vehicle that has an absolute right to ride on the road, except for closed access freeways and highways. The book then addresses, well, can a cyclist be confined to the sidewalk? Can cyclists be confined to the bike path in the metro parks? Secondly, how should a cyclist ride right, ride correctly, ride legally? This is tip number 2. You ride like a vehicle, almost like you're driving a car. You ride in the direction of traffic. Question, do cyclists have to follow traffic control devices? And if they don't, can they be ticketed? And if they can be ticketed, can points be assessed on their license? What about a DUI? Is that different? The book answers all those questions. Other laws concerning cyclists are addressed. Are lights required? Here's tip number 3. Yes, lights are required in the state of Ohio from sundown to sunrise. You're required to have a white light in the front and a red light in the rear. Are hand turn signals required in the state of Ohio for cyclists? If so, what are the exceptions? Where should a cyclist ride on the road? What are the exceptions to that? Are cyclists legally mandated to wear helmets? Is there a visibility requirement in Ohio? Do cyclists have to stop at red lights? Is there ever a time a cyclist doesn't have to stop at a red light? What about stop signs? What about groups of cyclists that get up to a stop sign? Can cyclists ride two abreast? All these questions, all these issues are answered in the book. There's also practical tips. Since I'm battle tested, I'm out there on the road riding, and I come up with some of my own stuff, and one is the Stobie shout rule. And back in the 70s, Gary and I were high school classmates, and cars had an abundance of mechanical problems, and his horn didn't work on his car, which was not surprising back then. So when we would approach or get into a situation, Gary would actually yell, and the people in the other car would hear him. So I named this the Stobie shout rule. In other words, if you're riding down the road and a motorist doesn't see you and is about to pull out, just say, hey, it helps. Other suggestions are how to react to an aggressive motorist, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and how do you handle the police if you are stopped either lawfully or unlawfully. There's chapters for the motorist, and the first is the motorist responsibility. That's addressed in the book. What's their responsibility when passing cyclists? Is there a safe distance passing requirement? Can a motorist pass on a double yellow? What should a motorist do or not do when they're passing a whole group of cyclists? All these things are addressed in the book. Other things are addressed in the book about why cyclists do what they do, and the point is to foster a better understanding between cyclists and motorists. Why is a cyclist pointing down to hazards on the road? Why are cyclists riding in groups? What is drafting? What is track standing? All those things are explained, so there's a better understanding between us cyclists and the motorists. Big section is on real reported Ohio bike cases with real situations and real facts and real widely varying results. Some cases are about cyclists when they're stopped by the police for various traffic offenses with dicey exchanges, charges. Are they convicted? Are they not convicted? There's another case about a motorist that hits a cyclist and gets charged and convicted of felonious assault. What happens on appeal? What about a defect on a sidewalk or a road and a cyclist is injured? Can they recover? Can they not recover? What if a cyclist is injured by another cyclist out there on a all-purpose trail? What can a local authority, a city, regulate concerning cycling versus the state? How far can they go to change what the state requires? What about lights? I talked about that. Yes, we know lights are required at night. The book addresses bike crashes because unfortunately they do occur out there. They even have names. There's a left cross when the driver turns left in front of a cyclist, a right hook 1 and a right hook 2 when a cyclist is hit from a cyclist turning right in front of them. There's also the rear ender. The book addresses what to do and what not to do in a bike crash. Is a police report important? Tip number 4, yeah, it's very important. Should you preserve your damage? Absolutely, it's all evidence. Torn clothing, your bike damage, don't fix it until it's established what happened. Search for video footage. A lot of camera action out there on the road today. Look for it. The book talks about insurance coverage for cyclists. This is a very important and overlooked area for cyclists. So how can a cyclist protect him or herself with their own auto insurance coverage if they're hit by a driver with no insurance or inadequate insurance? If you're riding a bike and you unfortunately hit someone, how do you protect yourself? Can you do that through homeowners? What's umbrella insurance? When do you need umbrella insurance? Why is it important to know about umbrella insurance? Is it better to have separate bike insurance, or can your own insurance, homeowners and auto, cover you on a bike? Issues like that are answered in this book. The book also talks about a new and upcoming trend there called EBikes, and they're classed in Ohio as a 1, 2, and 3. What does that mean? Where can they ride? Where can they not ride? Addressed in the book. Micromobility devices are also talked about. That's the Bird, the Lime, and the e-scooters. Where can they ride? Where can they not ride? How do you protect yourself with insurance with a micromobility device when you rent one? There's a complete chapter on the national, state, and local initiatives for a bike-friendly community. There's a chapter on autonomous vehicles. And finally, the book ends on the benefits of cycling, which includes the environment: no gas, no oil, the fitness, you're in better shape, the recreation, you're out having fun just like you did when you were a kid, out riding your bike, making friends, going places, doing things you enjoy to do. And that makes it a livability issue. And communities that support cycling have better livability issues and benefits than those that do not. So the book basically talks about sharing the road. You know, cyclists are on their way to motorists. They're not in their way. Everybody wants to get to their destination safely. That's the motorists and the cyclists. So we all should share the road. And I think this book is a great read for anybody who's an experienced cyclist that wants a little brush up, and certainly for any cyclist that's new and needs to know what to do and what not to do on the road. So I hope you can contact and visit our great library system here in Lakewood and get yourself a copy of the book and learn about cycling rights and responsibilities. Thank you very much.